The council chambers glittered with light, reflecting off the crystalline walls of their high citadel. Leaders from dozens of alien worlds gathered around the great table, their expressions filled with triumph. A massive holomap floated above the table, showing every human colony they had conquered. "Victory is complete," proclaimed High Chancellor Zir, his voice echoing across the hall. "Human resistance has been crushed. Our fleets have destroyed their colonies and their leaders are gone. The galaxy belongs to the Council." A chorus of agreement rose from the assembled council members. Flags of every member world waved proudly in the background, celebrating what they believed was the end of humanity. Messages of congratulations streamed in from allied systems, praising the Council's decisive campaign. But not everyone was convinced. Some younger officers whispered among themselves, glancing at the holomap with uneasy eyes. "They said humans were finished before," one of them muttered. "And yet, there are always pockets of survivors." Zir ignored them, tapping a clawed finger against the map. "Enough! There is no human fleet left that can threaten us." We move forward. Our expansion begins now. Far beyond the glittering towers of the Council, hidden in the shadowed reaches of deep space, humanity's story was far from over. In the ruins of a shattered colony, Captain Arik Tal surveyed the remnants of his fleet. Ships that were once proud and gleaming were now battered, blackened from orbital bombardments and laser fire. Smoke curled from broken hulls and the cries of injured crew members echoed through the corridors. Arik's eyes burned with determination. The Council may have declared victory, but they had not destroyed the human spirit. "We are not finished," he told his crew. "They think we are broken. They think we will surrender. They are wrong. We will rise again." Around him, engineers and pilots worked tirelessly. They scavenged broken ships, repaired engines, and salvaged weapons. Every small victory felt like a spark in the darkness. Despite the overwhelming odds, humanity's resilience shone. In a hidden asteroid base, human leaders convened in a secure chamber. The room was crowded, filled with maps of known council routes, reports from scouts, and holos showing distant star systems. Arik stood at the center, pointing at the projections. "The Council believes they have won," he said, his voice calm but firm. "But they underestimate us. Our numbers may be smaller, but our minds are sharper, our tactics quicker. We know their weaknesses, and we will use them." A young pilot, Lyra, spoke up. "Sir, our scouts report Council patrols near the rim sectors. They are cautious but growing bold. If we wait too long, we might lose the chance to strike first." Arik nodded. "Then we strike when the time is right. Small fleets, precise attacks. We hit supply lines, communication hubs, anything that weakens them without risking our fleet unnecessarily." Every victory, no matter how small, reminds the Council that humans are not defeated. In the distance, the remnants of the human fleet glimmered against the blackness of space. Some ships were small transport vessels converted into fighters. Others patched together cruisers with patched hulls glowing with energy shields. Each vessel carried hope and defiance. As night fell on the hidden colony, Arik walked along the docking bay, observing the crew. He saw young recruits training with mock weapons, older veterans repairing hulls, and engineers testing energy cores. Despite exhaustion and fear, there was a sense of unity, of purpose. Humans had survived countless challenges, and this was no different. Meanwhile, in Council space, Admiral Vorn paced the bridge of his flagship. Massive screens displayed intelligence reports, fleet movements, and intercepted messages. He frowned at the data. "Why are the humans not completely destroyed?" he asked. "Every colony we bombed should have ended them. And yet we see movement, small ships, signals. Something is happening." His second-in-command, a tall alien with silver skin, replied, "Perhaps they are hiding, Admiral, but they are clever. They may attempt a counterattack." Vorn's eyes narrowed. "Clever is one thing, but no human force could match the Council fleet. We will crush them again if needed. Prepare additional patrols along the outer sectors. I want no human movement unchecked." Back in the asteroid base, Arik studied a tactical map. Dotted lines showed supply routes of the Council, some lightly defended, others heavily patrolled. Each line represented an opportunity. "We cannot match their firepower head-on," he explained to his lieutenants. "But we can be smarter. Ambushes, feints, traps, they expect us to hide. We will turn that expectation into our advantage." Lyra leaned over the table, pointing at a distant system. This sector is lightly defended. If we take control, we can disrupt their communications to several nearby colonies. It will also give us a base closer to their heart worlds. Arik smiled. Good, prepare your teams. Timing is everything. Patience is our weapon as much as our ships are. As the humans prepared, whispers of unease spread among the Council worlds. Reports of missing supply convoys, unexplained fleet disappearances, and strange attacks filtered in. Some worlds dismissed these as minor incidents, but others began to question the Council's claims of victory. On a remote moon, a small group of human survivors celebrated a successful salvage mission. They had retrieved a Council supply ship and managed to bring it to the hidden base intact. Cheers rang out as engineers began examining the alien technology. Every new tool, every piece of tech strengthened the human fleet in secret. Captain Arik observed the celebrations quietly. Pride filled him, but he reminded his crew of the larger goal. These small wins matter, he said. But remember, we are only beginning. The Council thinks they have won. That makes them careless. That gives us an advantage. Stay focused, stay strong. Far above in the Council Citadel, Seer received intercepted transmissions. They were garbled at first, but slowly the message became clear. Humans were moving, repairing, regrouping. He narrowed his eyes. So they are not finished, he muttered. Interesting. Perhaps we judged them too quickly. The Council underestimated humanity once before, and again they would learn that human courage, ingenuity, and determination were not easily crushed. Across the dark reaches of space, human ships prepared for the long struggle ahead. Every engine lit, every weapon tested, every plan drawn was a promise. They would not vanish quietly. As the hidden fleet gathered in small clusters, Arik stood on the command bridge of his flagship, staring into the stars. We will rise from these ashes, he said softly, almost to himself. And when we do, the galaxy will remember that humans do not surrender. Above them, distant suns glimmered, distant worlds moved in silent orbits, and the black void of space waited for the first spark of the rebellion. Humanity, battered but unbroken, was preparing to strike back. The Council may have claimed victory, but the stars would soon tell a different story. And somewhere in the darkness, the first whispers of the human fleet's plan began to travel across the void. Small scouts carried messages of hope and strategy, each transmission a challenge to the mighty Council. The war was far from over. Arik turned to his officers. Rest if you must, he said. But know this, we are no longer hiding. Every ship, every mind, every hand is part of our fight. And when we move, the Council will see that humanity never dies quietly. We rise and we rise together. The fleet hummed with quiet energy, engines glowing, weapons charged, and shields flickering with life. The Council's victory had been declared, but it was only a beginning. Somewhere in the black expanse of space, the humans waited, united by hope, courage, and a refusal to accept defeat. The first part of their story ended not with surrender, but with resolve, and in the shadows of conquered systems, humanity's light was about to shine brighter than ever before. Darkness stretched across the void of space, broken only by the distant glimmer of stars. Hidden among asteroids and uncharted systems, human ships moved like shadows, silent and unseen. For months they had repaired, regrouped, and gathered intelligence. Now the first real action against the Council was about to begin. Captain Arik Tal stood on the bridge of his flagship. Resolute, the hum of the engines was steady, a quiet heartbeat beneath the tense air of anticipation. Around him, officers checked instruments, recalibrated weapons, and reviewed tactical schematics. Every crew member knew the stakes. Humanity had been beaten, scattered, but it was not yet broken. Status report, Arik said, his voice calm but commanding. Lieutenant Mara spoke from the communications console. All systems green. Scouts report the Council convoy is approaching the rim sector. They are transporting supplies to the outer colonies. Sensors detect no heavy escorts, just a few patrol ships. Arik nodded. Good, that is exactly the opportunity we need. Prepare the attack teams. We will hit them fast and retreat before reinforcements arrive. Precision over force, remember, we are small but we are clever. Across the fleet, small squadrons of fighters and light cruisers peeled off from the main group. They moved like a coordinated shadow, following hidden paths through asteroid belts and gravity wells. The Council ships were unaware of the trap waiting for them. In the command room of a Council supply cruiser, Captain Velrax reviewed the sector. All systems normal, he said to his officers. No human activity detected. Sensors show only minor anomalies in nearby asteroid fields, nothing of concern. Yet in the darkness, human scouts were already in position. Cloaked by gravity wells and the natural debris of the sector, they watched the Council convoy. Their ships were small but fast, nimble enough to strike before the larger vessels could react. Auric watched the holomap, his finger tracing the planned routes of the human fighters. Remember, they expect us to attack directly. We will not. Flank from the asteroid fields, cut off their escape, and disable communications. We show them we are not afraid. Minutes passed like hours, then a single pulse on the sensor grid. Mara's voice broke the tension. They're entering the strike zone. All units prepare to engage. Execute Plan Alpha, Auric ordered. Suddenly, human fighters surged from hidden positions. Tiny, fast ships zipped around Council cruisers, firing precise ion bursts that disabled shields and disrupted engines. The Council fleet was caught off guard. Chaos erupted on their bridge. "What is happening?" shouted Velrax. "Report!" "How are they attacking from all directions?" The human ships moved with careful precision, never lingering long enough to be fully targeted. Bombs detonated near supply modules, tearing open hulls without endangering entire vessels. Within minutes, the convoy was crippled. Auric watched from the Resolute, his calm eyes reflecting the flickering light of distant explosions. "Good work," he said. "But do not become overconfident. Withdraw after the last strike. Council reinforcements will arrive fast." The human fleet pulled back into the asteroid field, disappearing once again like ghosts. In Council space, the first reports of losses reached the higher command. Officers were shocked. How is this possible?" Velrax stammered. "We have destroyed entire human colonies. Their fleets were broken." Admiral Vorn's voice boomed across the communications channel. "Double our patrols. Hunt them down. They are hiding, but they are not safe. Humanity is more dangerous than we thought. Do not underestimate them again." Back in the hidden human base, the small fleet regrouped. The air was tense, but pride and excitement rippled through the crew. Each success, no matter how small, was proof that humans were still a force to be reckoned with. Auric convened a quick meeting with his lieutenants. "This strike proves one thing. The Council is not invincible. They are organized, yes, but predictable. Our next attacks must target their weaknesses, spread fear, and show them that humanity will not stay in hiding." Lyra leaned over the tactical table, pointing to several points on the holomap. "If we disrupt their communication nodes in the next 2 sectors, we can isolate their patrols. They won't know where to send reinforcements, and we can strike supply lines with greater efficiency." Auric nodded. "Good, prepare those missions. Split into small teams, hit multiple targets simultaneously. Coordination is key. We fight smart, not just hard." As night fell across distant human colonies, news of the first strike began to spread among the survivors. The destroyed Council convoy became a symbol of hope. Communities long oppressed whispered tales of the daring human fighters, imagining a time when they could fight without fear. On a Council world, rumors of the attack reached the ears of political leaders. Some dismissed it as a minor nuisance, but others were uneasy. "These humans, they are not finished," said one official quietly to a colleague. "Perhaps we misjudged their resilience." In the asteroid fields, the human scouts returned to the fleet. They reported minor damages but no casualties. Each ship that survived was a triumph. Engineers immediately began repairs while strategists analyzed the Council's response. Auric stood on the bridge of the Resolute, watching the movement of stars. "We have shown them we are not defeated," he said softly. "But this is only the beginning. The Council believes they can contain us. They are wrong. Humanity will adapt, we will grow stronger, and we will fight again." The next day, human teams launched multiple strikes across outer sectors. A small frigate disabled a Council relay station, cutting communications between 2 patrol fleets. Fighters harassed supply convoys, forcing the aliens to reroute resources. Every strike was precise, careful, and calculated to inflict maximum disruption with minimum risk. Council leaders grew increasingly frantic. "This is no longer a minor annoyance," Vorn said. "Humans are organized, intelligent, and persistent. Their fleet may be smaller, but their tactics are superior in many ways. They are becoming a real threat." Across the galaxy, humans celebrated each success quietly, without fanfare. They knew the Council would respond with overwhelming force eventually. Every victory now was preparation for the greater struggle to come. Auric gathered his officers once more. Our first strikes have shown the galaxy that humanity is alive. The Council will regroup, but we have learned their weaknesses. We must remain patient, precise, and united. Every ship, every crew member, every mission matters. We are small, but we are human, and that is more dangerous than any fleet of machines or weapons. In the Council Citadel, discussions turned tense. Analysts debated what to do. Some suggested immediate retaliation. Others recommended more defensive measures. But one thing was clear: the humans were not defeated. Their cunning, adaptability, and courage had surprised the most powerful beings in the galaxy. Far from the Council, human engineers worked tirelessly to upgrade ships captured from the enemy. They studied alien technology, improved their weapons, and reinforced shields. Every enhancement made the fleet stronger, more capable, and more unpredictable. As night fell again in human space, Arik stood on the observation deck of his flagship. The stars stretched endlessly before him, a reminder of how vast and unknown the galaxy truly was. And yet in that vastness, humanity had found a way to fight back. "This is only the beginning," he said to no one in particular. "We have struck the first blow, but the real test is still ahead. The Council thinks they are in control. Soon they will learn that humans are never truly defeated." Across the dark reaches of space, the first whispers of humanity's resurgence spread. Every attack, every act of defiance sent a message. The humans were not just surviving, they were returning stronger, smarter, and more united than ever. The first strike had been a success, but it was also a promise. Humanity would not stop. They would not surrender. And the galaxy, the Council, and every species that had doubted them would soon learn that even the smallest spark could ignite a fire capable of changing the course of history. The hidden fleet prepared for its next move, knowing the Council would respond. Every crew member felt it, a surge of pride, determination, and hope. Humans were back in the fight, and the stars themselves seemed to watch in silent anticipation. The war was far from over, but for the first time in years, humanity held the initiative. And as the Resolute and its fleet slipped silently through the asteroid fields, the galaxy waited for the next human strike, one that would be larger, bolder, and impossible to ignore. Hidden deep within an asteroid cluster on the edge of known space, the human fleet had grown stronger. What had once been a handful of battered ships was now a fleet of nimble cruisers, fighters, and stealth transports, all patched, modified, and enhanced with a mixture of human ingenuity and salvaged Council technology. Captain Arik Tal walked along the main deck of the Resolute, observing the crews as they prepared for the next phase of the campaign. Engineers adjusted power cores, while young pilots tested the agility of newly modified fighters. Each ship carried the spirit of determination, proof that humanity had not been crushed. "Status on weapon systems?" Arik asked Lieutenant Mara, who stood nearby with her tablet in hand. "All weapons operational, Captain. Shields reinforced. Sensors upgraded with the new interface from the captured Council tech. Fleet is ready for coordinated strikes," she reported, her eyes bright with confidence. Arik nodded. "Good. This is our chance to show that humans can fight differently. Strength is not always measured by size. Intelligence, timing, and unity can turn the tide." The hidden fleet moved silently through the asteroid fields. Gravity wells and debris provided natural cover, masking the fleet from the Council's scanners. Scouts had already mapped the sector, highlighting patrol routes, supply lines, and weak points. Every decision was based on observation and strategy. Meanwhile, far in Council space, Admiral Vorn studied reports of the previous human strikes. His face, usually calm and composed, was tight with frustration. "They are not hiding anymore," he said to his aides. "They are organized and they are bold. Each strike is calculated, precise. We have underestimated them, and it is becoming dangerous." Vorn's aide suggested increasing patrols and sending larger fleets to corner the humans. Vorn shook his head. "That is exactly what they want us to do. Humans adapt faster than we anticipate. If we overcommit, we will be outmaneuvered. We need to think smarter, not just throw fleets at them." Back in human territory, Arik gathered his lieutenants in the strategy room. Hollow maps of Council space glowed in the dim light. Lines showed supply routes, relay stations, and patrol fleets. Arik's finger traced a path to a lightly defended sector. "We have to strike their communications hubs and supply depots simultaneously," he explained. "If we succeed, Council fleets will be isolated, their response slower, and fear will spread. We do not need to destroy them completely. Just show them that humans are everywhere, prepared and impossible to ignore. Lyra, ever eager and precise, studied the map. Our scouts report minimal defenses at these points. We can send 2 small strike teams, disable the hubs, and retreat before reinforcements arrive. We use speed and coordination to our advantage. Arik smiled. Exactly. Timing will be crucial. We strike together, not as individuals. Humanity's strength lies in unity. At nightfall, human engineers completed retrofitting a captured Council cruiser. Its weapons were integrated with human targeting systems, engines optimized for speed, and stealth modules improved to near invisibility. Arik watched as the ship glided into formation with the rest of the fleet. Every ship we reclaim or enhance increases our strength, he said. The Council may have more numbers, but we have innovation. And innovation can beat numbers every time. When the fleet approached the first target, human scouts relayed live information. A Council communications hub orbited a small planet, lightly defended. The human ship split into coordinated teams, moving silently through shadows of asteroids. Captain Arik led the primary strike group. Fighters darted past patrol drones while frigates targeted shield generators. Within moments, the hub was disabled, its communications disrupted. Council officers on the hub were caught off guard, unable to send alerts. Simultaneously, a second strike team disabled a nearby supply depot, using precision bursts to avoid unnecessary destruction. Explosions illuminated the sector briefly, but the human ships vanished before reinforcements could respond. Back on the Resolute, Arik monitored the operations. Excellent work, he said. Every strike, every move reinforces a simple truth. Humans are adaptable, clever, and determined. The Council believes victory is theirs, but they are wrong. News of the strikes spread quickly among human settlements. Even those far from the front lines celebrated. Each small victory reminded them that survival was possible, that the humans were not just enduring, they were reclaiming power. The Council, however, was growing increasingly uneasy. Analysts presented maps of disrupted supply lines and weakened patrols. Admiral Vorn frowned. They are more than survivors. They are becoming a coordinated fleet. Each strike is precise, each movement calculated. They are learning faster than anticipated. Council leaders debated strategy. Some argued for a total assault, others for containment. Yet all agreed on one point. Humanity's resurgence could not be ignored. Meanwhile, in hidden human bases, Arik and his lieutenants planned the next moves. Each new mission was more ambitious. They would strike Council territories closer to the heart of controlled space, forcing the aliens to divert resources while demonstrating that humans could fight anywhere, anytime. As human engineers tested new weapon prototypes, the fleet began to feel unstoppable, not because it was the largest, but because it was smart, precise, and united. Every ship was a symbol of resilience. Every crew member a testament to determination. One evening, Arik stood on the observation deck looking out at the stars. Every action we take matters, he said quietly. We fight not just for survival, but to show the galaxy that humanity will not bow. Our fleet may be small, but our courage and ingenuity are limitless. Lyra joined him, her eyes reflecting the glow of distant suns. We've accomplished so much already, and yet I feel this is just the beginning. Arik nodded. It is. The Council may believe they control the stars, but they have not faced humanity united. Soon they will realize that numbers mean little when the spirit is strong. We rise not just to fight, but to remind everyone what humans are capable of. Over the next weeks, the human fleet continued its operations. Supply lines were disrupted, communications crippled, and patrols forced to respond in confusion. Each small strike increased their confidence and sent a clear message. Humans were no longer hiding. They were rising. Council officers, meanwhile, worked frantically to repair damage and reinforce defenses. Morale among their ranks began to falter. Officers whispered that humans had something they could not understand: resilience, ingenuity, and unity. The very qualities that made them predictable targets before had transformed them into an unpredictable threat. In one small asteroid workshop, young engineers tested new stealth modifications. Every success was a reason to celebrate, every failure a lesson learned. The fleet became more capable with each day, faster and smarter. Human crews felt it too, a growing sense of pride, purpose, and belief in victory. One day, scouts returned with an important discovery: a lightly defended council base near a remote system, containing resources and ships previously thought unreachable. Arik gathered his lieutenants. "This is our chance to show the council that human innovation is unstoppable. We take the base, capture what we can, and send a message. Humans are rising, and the stars themselves belong to no one until humanity says so." Plans were drawn, ships prepared, and crews briefed. Every member of the fleet understood the risks, but also understood the stakes. This mission would demonstrate that humans were no longer survivors. They were leaders in their own fight. As the fleet moved into position, the first glimmers of dawn spread across distant star systems. Arik stood at the command deck of the Resolute, watching the ships glide into formation. "Today," he said softly, "we rise. Not with force alone, but with intelligence, courage, and unity. Humanity is back in the fight, and nothing will stop us." For the first time in years, the human fleet felt unstoppable, not because they were the largest, but because they were clever, determined, and united. Across the black expanse of space, their presence was a signal to all. The humans were rising, and the Council's victory was no longer certain. In the shadows of conquered worlds, the hidden fleet waited for the perfect moment. Every ship, every crew member, every mission was a promise. The humans would not only survive, they would rise. And when they did, the galaxy would remember that humanity's courage, intelligence, and unity could overcome even the mightiest enemy. The rise of the human fleet was more than a military operation. It was a statement. A message to the Council and every species in the galaxy. Humanity is not finished. They endure, they adapt, and they fight back. And the next chapter of this war would show just how powerful that determination could become. The void of space stretched endlessly, dark and silent, but it was alive with movement. The human fleet, now larger and more organized than ever, advanced toward a critical star system near the heart of Council territory. This system controlled vital trade routes and communications, making it a perfect point to demonstrate humanity's resurgence. Captain Arik Tal stood on the bridge of the Resolute, watching the sensors flicker with distant Council ships. The aliens had detected some human activity but underestimated its scale. They believed humanity was still fragmented, incapable of mounting a serious threat. Arik knew better. "All ships in formation," he commanded. "This is not a raid. This is a statement. Move as one. Let them see that humans do not hide. We rise together." The fleet moved in precise coordination, cruisers forming the backbone, fighters darting like sparks, and transports gliding with silent efficiency. Even the smallest vessel played a role. Each ship represented the ingenuity and determination of its crew, a visible challenge to the Council's assumption of victory. On the Council side, Admiral Vorn stared at the sensors aboard his flagship. Hundreds of blips moving with perfect coordination appeared on the screen. His jaw tightened. "How many ships are there? This is more than a scattered fleet. They have grown stronger, and they are organized." An aide replied, "Our estimates suggest the humans have gathered nearly a third of what they once had, but even so they are still smaller than our fleets." Vorn's eyes narrowed. "Size is not the only measure of strength. They have learned to move faster, strike with precision, and avoid direct confrontation until the time is right. Prepare defenses, reinforce patrols. But we must be careful. They are not the same humans we crushed before." Back with the human fleet, the plan was simple but daring. Arik had studied the Council's patrol patterns and weaknesses. Instead of attacking directly, the humans would form a blockade near the system's primary star. From certain angles, it would appear as if the fleet stretched endlessly, covering every approach. The humans intended to leave a lasting impression, one that could not be ignored. Lieutenant Mara adjusted the coordinates on her console. "Fleet alignment is complete. Sensors confirm positions. The Council will have to notice this. Visibility is maximum. They cannot pass unnoticed." "Good," Arik replied. "This is more than a tactical maneuver. This is a statement of intent. Let the Council see us, understand that humanity is back, and remember that we are not to be underestimated." As the fleet approached the system, Council patrols detected unusual activity. Sensors reported an enormous concentration of human ships in formation near the outer planets. Panic rippled through the Council command chains. Reports were contradictory. Some claimed it was a trap, others insisted it was a bluff. Vorn stood on the bridge of his flagship, his presence commanding attention, They are not attacking. Yet. But look at the scale. Hundreds of human vessels, aligned in a single formation. They have blocked the system's outer approaches entirely. This is unprecedented. In the observation deck of the Resolute, Arik watched the Council fleet respond. Ships shifted nervously, unsure of how to engage. The humans had anticipated this reaction. Their display of coordination, unity, and sheer visibility was the message Arik had wanted. Humanity was a force to be reckoned with. Lyra leaned over the console, excitement in her voice. They are hesitant. They expected scattered attacks, ambushes, not this. They are trying to figure out if we intend to fight or just hold them off. Arik nodded. Exactly. And the longer they hesitate, the more impact we have. Fear is a weapon too. The Council has never faced humans this united. Suddenly, Council scouts advanced, probing the human formation. Their sensors detected active ships ready for combat. But the humans maintained a calm, precise posture. No shots were fired, no sudden movements. Yet the presence alone was intimidating. Vorn clenched his claws around the railing. They are blocking access to an entire system without firing a single shot. How can this be? Strategy, Admiral, one officer replied. They are demonstrating control. They want to show they can dominate space simply by presence. Arik turned to his lieutenants. Prepare defensive positions. If the Council attacks, we will respond. If they hesitate, we will maintain the blockade. Either way, this is a demonstration of what humans can do when united. Hours passed. Council fleets shifted and maneuvered, testing weak points, attempting to intimidate the humans into retreat. Each attempt failed. Human ships moved with agility, covering blind spots, responding to every maneuver. It became clear. The humans had learned from every past encounter, anticipating Council tactics and countering them before they could be executed. In one small fighter, a young pilot named Joran marveled at the human fleet's organization. Look at that formation, he said over comms. They are everywhere at once, yet perfectly coordinated. How are they doing this? Lyra's voice crackled in response. Years of practice, Joran, they have survived worse. They adapt faster than anyone realizes. That's why they're dangerous. Arik's voice cut in over the channel. Remember, we are not here to destroy today. We are here to show strength. Precision over destruction. Every move reinforces the fact that humans cannot be ignored. The Council began to realize the full scope of the human threat. Ships were diverted from distant sectors, patrols reassigned, and communication lines reinforced. Resources that were intended for expansion now had to defend against a fleet they thought had been broken. Vorn clenched his jaw. They are not just surviving, they are dictating the terms. Every fleet we send is met with anticipation, strategy, and unity. They are learning faster than we can predict. We cannot crush them in one strike. Back on the Resolute, Arik observed the reactions through the fleet's sensors. They are panicking, he said softly. Exactly what we wanted. Humans are small but adaptable. Fear spreads faster than weapons. Let them see our strength and the galaxy will understand our message. Lyra pointed to a cluster of distant blips. They are sending reinforcements, but slowly. They do not know where to commit their fleets. We control their decisions without firing a shot. Arik nodded. Yes, humanity does not need to fight every battle. Presence and intelligence are just as powerful. Today we make the Council reconsider every assumption about us. As night fell across the system, the human fleet maintained its formation, blocking the approaches to vital planets. The Council fleets were forced to retreat temporarily, unable to risk engagement with the well-positioned human forces. The standoff had worked. The humans had demonstrated that size alone did not determine control, that intelligence, unity, and courage could level any field. In the aftermath, the human fleet dispersed into hidden sectors to repair minor damage and resupply, yet the message had been sent. Across the galaxy, whispers spread of the fleet that could block out stars. Colonies long oppressed by the Council began to hope. Even some alien worlds quietly questioned their allegiance, wondering if the humans were the spark of a new era. Arik gathered his lieutenants one last time before returning to base. Today we have achieved more than a tactical victory. We have shown the galaxy that humanity rises not with sheer force but with strategy, unity, and courage. The Council may recover, but they will never forget the human fleet that blocked the stars. Lyra smiled. They will think twice before underestimating us again. Arik nodded. And when the time comes, we will strike not just with presence, but with the full strength of our fleet. Today was the warning, tomorrow will be the proof. As the fleet slipped back into shadowed regions, the stars returned to their natural brilliance. Yet in the hearts of those who witnessed the human rise, a spark had ignited. Humanity had moved from survivor to challenger. The Council had claimed victory once, but now, faced with a fleet of determination, intelligence, and unity, even the mightiest rulers hesitated. For the first time, the galaxy understood a simple truth. Humans did not surrender. Humans adapted. And humans, when united, could shape the course of entire worlds. The standoff had ended, but the war was far from over. The Council would recover, but humanity had shown its hand, and when the next move came, it would be unstoppable. The human fleet drifted through the cold silence of space. Engines low, lights dimmed, waiting for the signal. Months had passed since the great standoff where humanity had blocked out the stars. The galaxy still spoke of that moment, the day when humans proved they were no longer the weak race the Council had once defeated. But Captain HFY knew that the standoff had only been the beginning. The Council would never rest until they crushed the human spirit again. They were gathering their fleets now across dozens of sectors, preparing for one final strike to destroy Earth's rising alliance once and for all. Inside the command deck of the Resolute, tension filled the air. The crew worked quietly, their faces calm but their hearts racing. They knew what was coming. The next battle would decide everything, freedom or extinction. Lieutenant Mara stood beside Auric. "Council ships are moving again, sir. Our spies confirm they are forming 3 massive fleets near the Helion cluster. Each fleet is larger than ours." Auric nodded slowly. "Let them come. We cannot run forever. If we face them here, we either win our future or vanish into history." Lyra, standing near the tactical map, adjusted the holographic display. The blue lines showed human ships spread across multiple systems, small groups hidden among asteroid belts and nebula clouds. Red icons showed the Council fleets advancing, confident and ready to strike. "We have one advantage," Lyra said. "They still underestimate how much we've grown. If we time this perfectly, we can trap them between our forces and the gravitational storms near the Helion sun." Auric smiled faintly. "Then that's what we'll do. We'll show them that humans don't just survive. We plan, we adapt, and we fight for each other." He opened a channel to the fleet. His voice echoed across hundreds of ships. "This is Captain HFY. The Council thinks they can erase us again. They think we are afraid. But today they will learn what it means to fight humanity united. Every ship, every pilot, every engineer, this is our moment. We fight not just for Earth, but for every world that dreams of freedom. Let the stars witness our courage." A roar of agreement filled the comms. Across the fleet, humans cheered. Engines ignited, reactors glowed bright blue, and one by one, ships powered up for battle. Far across the void, Admiral Vorn's flagship Trium Impera led the Council's armada. Thousands of alien ships filled the space around him, their formations stretching beyond sight. Vorn watched the tactical screens with calm confidence. "The humans are cornered," one of his officers reported. "They cannot escape. Their fleet is smaller, their ships older. This will be over quickly." Vorn didn't answer immediately. He had studied humans for years. Their stubbornness, their strange courage, their ability to fight even when defeat was certain. He did not underestimate them anymore. "Do not assume victory," he said softly. "Humans have a way of turning despair into strength. Keep our flanks guarded, watch for their tricks." The fleets began to move. The first clash came near the outer rim of the Helion cluster. Human interceptors darted forward, weaving through Council formations, striking weak spots before disappearing back into the nebula. Council ships fired massive plasma bursts, lighting up the darkness, but the humans were too quick. On the Resolute, Auric watched the battle unfold. "They're testing us. Hold positions. Let them think we're defensive." Moments later, Council destroyers advanced aggressively, believing the humans were retreating. That was when the trap closed. Hidden behind an asteroid field, a second wave of human ships powered up and attacked from the flank. Explosions burst across the void as several Council ships were disabled before they could react. Lyra grinned. "They didn't expect that. Their formation is breaking." Auric leaned forward. "Good. Push forward with the left wing. But keep the right side steady. We want them to think there's a gap." As the humans advanced, the Council fleet concentrated their fire on the supposed gap, only to find themselves surrounded again. The humans had been learning from every encounter, adjusting their strategies faster than the Council could adapt. For hours, the battle raged. The void trembled with light and energy, and entire ships vanished in seconds. Yet the humans kept advancing, their unity unbroken. Every time a ship fell, two more filled its place. Vorn slammed a clawed hand on the console. Impossible. Their coordination, it's perfect. How are they predicting our moves? One of his aides replied nervously. Their artificial networks must be linked. They are sharing data between fleets instantly. Vorn's eyes widened. They are using swarm tactics, the way we used to. They've learned from us. In the middle of the chaos, the Resolute took a direct hit. The ship shuddered, alarms blaring, but Arik stood firm. Damage report, he shouted. Shields down to 60%, Mara answered. But we're still flying, Arik nodded. Good, keep pushing forward. We can't let them regain momentum. The Resolute fired its main cannon, striking a Council cruiser head-on. The explosion lit up the void like a sunrise. Around them, other human ships joined the charge, turning the tide completely. The humans pressed forward until the Council's first fleet began to fall back. Then the second Council fleet arrived, firing in coordinated volleys. The battle became a storm of light and sound, each side refusing to yield. Amid the chaos, Arik opened a private channel to all human commanders. This is it. All wings converge on their flagship. If we take it down, their fleets will break. Dozens of human ships responded. Fighters, bombers, and cruisers joined together, forming a spear that pierced through the enemy lines. The Triumph Impera loomed ahead, massive and bright, surrounded by layers of defenders. Lyra said, We'll never get close enough. Arik smiled slightly. Watch us. The humans began a maneuver that no Council strategist could have predicted. They cut power, drifted silently through the debris field, and reignited engines at the last moment, appearing right beside the flagship. Fire all batteries, Arik shouted. The Resolute unleashed everything it had. The flagship's shields flared, cracked, and finally collapsed. A final blast from a nearby human dreadnought struck the flagship's core. The explosion was enormous, shaking nearby ships. For a long moment, the entire battlefield went silent. Then across the comms, voices began to rise. The flagship is down. The Council command is destroyed. Cheers erupted throughout the human fleet. The Council formation wavered, then broke apart completely. Ships fled in every direction. The battle was over. Humanity had won. Hours later, as the debris of battle drifted through space, the Resolute floated among the stars. Fires were being extinguished, systems repaired. On the bridge, Arik stood quietly, looking out at the endless dark. Lyra walked beside him. We did it, she said softly. The Council is retreating. Their fleets are scattered, Arik nodded. It's not the end, but it's the beginning of something new. He opened a broadcast to every ship, his voice calm but filled with pride. Humans of the fleet, you have done what no one thought possible. You stood together against a force that once ruled the stars. Today we proved that courage, unity, and hope can overcome any empire. The Council claimed victory once, but now the stars belong to all who dare to reach them. A moment of silence followed, and then applause, cheers, and tears. Across hundreds of ships, humans celebrated. Mara smiled. What now, Captain? Arik looked out at the shining stars. Now we rebuild. We bring the worlds together. We show the galaxy that humans don't conquer. We create, we protect, and we rise. The fleet began its slow return to Allied space. Every ship bore the scars of battle, but also the mark of triumph. As the Resolute turned toward the light of a distant sun, the reflection of its hull shimmered like silver fire. Behind them, the ruins of the Council flagship floated silently, a monument to a fallen empire. Humanity had not only survived, it had changed the balance of the galaxy. Months later, the Council's power was broken. Some species who once served under their rule now reached out to humanity, seeking peace and cooperation. Trade routes reopened, colonies rebuilt, and slowly, the galaxy began to heal. On Earth, people watched the stars and felt something they hadn't in generations: safety. And in the great halls of the rebuilt United Fleet Command, Captain Arik Tal was honored not as a conqueror, but as a guardian of hope. As he stood before the gathered crowd, he said simply, "The stars once belonged to the Council. Now they belong to all of us. We stood together, and together we will build a better future." Humanity has found its place among the stars, and not through power but through unity. The crowd rose in applause. Outside in the night sky, the stars shone brighter than ever, and somewhere, deep in space, the last of the human fleet glided silently, a reminder that even in the darkest times, the light of humanity could never be extinguished, because the Council had claimed victory once. But in the end, it was the humans who claimed the stars.